So what's going on, everybody? And welcome back to ABACABB Classic Gaming, where, you know, we like to keep, if we're going to game, we're going to keep it classic. Now, I promised everybody that I would do this video, and there it is right there. Now, what this video is going to show is the complete breakdown that I did of this very system right here. I added new parts to it that I will explain throughout the video itself. And, well, I mean, the question really is, did I get this thing to finally work? So, why don't we go ahead and jump right into it. Now, I greatly appreciate every single one of you for stopping by. If you're new to the channel, please hit that thumbs up if you like, and subscribe to the channel. And also, you know, this, you know, it's different speed on normally what I do around here. Normally I'm playing video games, but now, you know, I love dabbling with systems, and when they're broken, like I've carted this thing around with me for at least 10 years. Now, it did used to work, and, you know, starting off, like, what I've already replaced the DVD drive in it probably about 6 years ago. So that's why I started where I started, by replacing the motherboard first. So I'm going to go ahead and explain all that. We're going to jump right on over here into this video. And hopefully everything sounds wonderful and you guys can hear me. And like I said, thanks again for stopping by. I hope you enjoy the content. You guys get to see what I went through with this Xbox just to see if I could get it to work. So that's the big question. Did I get it to work? Well, we're going to find out. I'm going to show you guys everything that I did to it first, though. Alright, I have an original Xbox here, and just to show exactly what's going on with it. As you can see, no Microsoft logo on the bottom. And there we go. Red ring of death. We're going to find out what's wrong with this motherboard on the inside here. As you can see, all the cords are plugged in correctly. Everything's plugged into the back. On this video here, we're going to do a complete teardown and rebuild of the original ORG Xbox 2001. Let's get it. So check it out. I'm going to go ahead and break this thing apart. Now, I bought a motherboard off of eBay. It's a 1.4 version motherboard. Figured I would get that, and it, you know, eBay, it was roughly about 80 bucks. It came with those cords, and it also came with a hard drive. Now, you're going to need a T25, I believe it is, to get the case off of the Xbox itself to get into it. Now, I had a few different versions of the T25, because let's just face it, not every tool is shaped the same. Well, the T25 I had, well, obviously it didn't fit, but I had one in my toolbox right next door, right nearby, to where I could go ahead and take this thing apart. Now, it's 6 screws, and basically I'm showing you exactly where everything is. I'm just pulling it out. Now, I replaced the DVD drive, like I said, about 6 years ago. And I thought that it would be working just fine. So I figured the motherboard went out. So when you're doing this here, you want to go ahead and pull your cords first. Make sure you pull your cords to your hard drive first, and then go ahead and pull your cords to your DVD drive. Now, the T10, there's normally 3 screws. I've only got one in this Xbox, so that's just to remove the casings and the holders, basically, of the hard drive and the DVD drive. So basically the mounts to where you guys can pull them out. So pull out the hard drive first. Yes, I'm swapping it out with a Seagate hard drive. Basically the same hard drive, the same stock hard drive that was in it. Now, we want to remove all the cables from the board. So I remove the big ribbon cable. And now I'm going to go ahead and start replacing the motherboard. Now, this is where you're going to need your Torx 10. But first thing you want to do is get all of these wires off of this board. Now, with this old board, I tried everything with it. I added thermal paste to it, which I did not do with the new one. I figured that the new one was going to be in good shape. It looked like it was cleaned up and in much better shape than the one that was in it. And like I was mentioning before, it is a 1.4. So the 1.4 is an easily moddable version of the motherboard. All you got to do is put in a pin header and run one wire to after you solder the pin header in and add a mod chip. So anyway, you remove all these screws from the motherboard. If you've ever had one apart, you know that they are basically right there in front. You want to remove the wire and for the fan, and you also want to remove those 2 that I missed right there. That is for the port for your audio video. So now I'm going to drop in this other one. I don't know what I was doing right here. I was trying to show you guys the bottom of the board for the clock capacitor that I pulled off. But, this other one has the clock capacitor on it. The shame being, it does not work, as far as I can tell. So I dropped this new motherboard in, and I hook it right up. Now this motherboard costed me, like I said, roughly about 80 bucks on eBay, and it came with the hard drive and the ribbon cable, along with the yellow cable that came in. Now I did not replace the thermal paste on this new motherboard. So, I'm trusting that this thing has either been already redone, since I was buying it, basically as new, because that's what it advertised, is that it was basically new. So I didn't feel the reason to have to replace the thermal paste on this motherboard. Now I get this thing screwed in here like this, and everything seems to be flowing pretty smooth. I'm getting it in, and I'm actually getting pretty anxious because I've been waiting to play this system for quite a while. Now, the motherboard, like I was saying before, you can put a mod chip to this. Now, what that mod chip does, I don't know. Now here I am replacing the hard drive with the same type of Seagate hard drive that came stock in the Xbox. Now I just wanted to make sure that I didn't leave any stone unturned. I was going to replace pretty much the motherboard and the hard drive in hopes that the Phillips drive was still actually working and in good condition. So I get the thing back together. I gotta flip it around, and I had to get it set right. I think that could have been an issue, that it was sticking up a little too far. But the DVD drive that was in it was a Phillips. The good old Phillips drive. I've heard a lot of people have a lot of praise for that drive. So I come over here and I go ahead and I flip it on. I'm thinking it's the moment of truth. Now, if you were looking at the beginning of the video, it threw off an error code 7 at the very beginning. Now it's throwing an error code 12. So at this point, I know now, right off the bat, that it's not the motherboard. It can't be the motherboard, and it definitely, it still could be the hard drive. But I'm going to go ahead and order a disk drive, because I'm just thinking to myself that obviously maybe that Phillips drive isn't any good anymore. So I actually had to go on Etsy to go and find this new Samsung drive. Now the thing about this Samsung drive is it took me about a month to get. I've been working on this video for quite a while, and I've been taking clips here and there. That's why you see me wearing different clothing, but it took forever to find this drive because this drive is so rare. Now you could go on eBay and you could find a Thompson drive for like $80 to $100, but everybody knows you don't want a Thompson drive. They're the worst drives for these systems, and they don't read burned games very well. Now, the Phillips drive is supposed to be the best drive, but you know, couldn't find any Phillips drives, so I had to use this Samsung drive. And I need to clean it out because when I put it in and opened it up, it was extremely dirty. And I'm talking extremely dirty. So I got that rim oil there that I'm going to use on the bar inside for when the eye slides. And I'm going to use the isopropyl alcohol along with a number 1 Phillips head screwdriver to take apart this drive to get it cleaned. Now I do speed up the time here. There are 4 screws on pretty much this drive, and they're in the bottom. You just have to take them out. But like I was saying, it's such a rare drive, and I got this for $29 on Etsy with $20 shipping. So that's basically 49 bucks. So that's what I found this drive for. And luckily I found it because there's not very many out there. The great thing about the original Xbox, because it's not 360, alright? The drives, and I know you guys are all sitting there thinking to yourselves, wait a minute, aren't these things married to the motherboard? No, they are not. Not the original Xbox. Now, what I am doing there actually is popping open the drive by pushing that white bar. Now, I get the top off and I'm looking at it, and I know I've got to be able to get that tray out somehow, and that tray is stuck there. So there's a little white lever in the front of there that you have to use with your screwdriver. And you have to push it in, and it will open up that tray. Now, you can't really see it. It's really dirty. I go ahead and zoom in here to where everyone can get a better view of what I'm doing. But now that I've removed those 4 screws, I can remove the top. You have to push that little white lever in to get that tray to come out. Now look, I just pulled a dust bunny straight out of that thing. You also want to make sure that this is good, that this actually rotates well. And then I want to go in here and I want to just start mad cleaning this thing up with alcohol and a Q-tip. Now I'm going ahead and cleaning this, and literally it really needed the cleaning. When I opened this thing up, there was a whole bunch of black material in on the tray. I actually took it and dumped it upside down when I had the Xbox on to get the dirt out of it. It was that filthy. I was actually surprised that they would send me something that was in this bad of shape. Now, it did guarantee that it worked, so I did have the money back guarantee, so I wasn't really trying to, I wasn't really trying to get scammed on this, but I definitely needed something better than that Phillips drive that I had in it before. Now, these Xbox drives, regardless, they don't marry to the motherboard, which is a really good thing, which means you can do an actual flop of Philips, Samsung, Thompson, and you can even put an actual computer drive in here and mod it, So that's the real cool thing about these Xboxes. It's why I wanted to take the time to get mine working again, because I think that this would be a wonderful addition to my gaming collection. A working actual Xbox from my gaming collection. So I mean, it was a no-brainer to get this done. It was really hard to find the parts, and it took a long time to get it done, but I did exactly get everything done, like a new drive and a new board, and and I even it was great to actually be able to find it for less than $80. So I was able to at least pretty much buy all the new parts for it for $80. Now I'm cleaning up the wheel here. Got to get all that dinge and all that stuff out of there. And I go over here and I do a little bit more because, like I said, it was really dirty. It was extremely dirty. I'll pull that all the way out. Now, I didn't touch anything on the board, but here's where I use the rim oil. I spray it on the Q-tip, which is what you want to do if you're using like a spray type of oil, and then I go ahead and lubricate those right there. You want to get those nice and lubricated to where it slides really nice and easy, because with all that dust that was in there, I was guaranteeing that eye was probably going to get stuck, and you want that eye to be able to flow all the way through. So I again go back over it with a Q-tip in case I got any oil all over that, because look, I really don't want to replace the boards. I don't want to take the boards out of this thing, so I just want to make sure I get all the oil up where there's no, where there shouldn't be oil, where oil should not be. So clean the lens up, get it all back together, and we're going to go ahead and get in all the crevices. I mean, get every bit of dust out of here, at least from the top perspective anyway. Just get it nice and cleaned up. Now, I tried this with that Phillips drive, and obviously that Phillips drive didn't work since it was throwing an error 12. If you go and look up the errors, all right, error 7 is supposed to be motherboard issues, and then error 12 is disk drive issues. That's why I pretty much knew that the disk drive was out on that Phillips. So you can Google that. You can go ahead and look it up. All the information is online, even though the information is hard to find. It is hard to find unless you go into the Discord forums or you go on Reddit. That's where I got most of my information, was Reddit and the Discord forums, absolutely. And then, of course, there was also YouTube videos. A few YouTube videos, not very many. Everybody else was messing with 360. So that's kind of also why I wanted to do this video as well. Now, over here, I'm messing with the tray and trying to get the tray to lock back in. Now, you have to lock these trays back in after you push that white piece back. And there's only one way to do and make that white piece go back forward to where it grabs that tray. Now, after a few tries here, I messed with it. I couldn't get it to move exactly the way I wanted it to, so I actually had to go online and look up how to do this. So I didn't understand what I was doing at one point, but after I watched the video, I figured out, okay, look, you got to have something flat, which is what the video told me. You got to pretty much have something nice and flat to where you can get it in to that small area right there to be able to push that piece back forward to lock in the tray. If you do not lock in the tray, your drive will not work. It will not open, it will not close, and it will not read. So you have to do this once you get done cleaning the drive. Now you'll notice that I do not touch the boards. I do not clean the boards out. I do not touch the ribbon cables, and it's just because, look, I've already had so many issues with these drives in the past. This is already going to be the second one I've replaced this one with. You know, I don't want to mess up anything that, you know, obviously, you know, hey, it's working now. If it's not broke, I'm not going to be trying to fix it. So, you go in here, and I had to go and find a putty knife because my Allen wrench would not work. So I got this putty knife here, and I was able to jimmy that piece back over. Now that it's locked in there, everything's good. You can go ahead and put the drive back together. So now we're putting the drive back together. We go ahead and add our screws. Get this stuff all in there, and that drive is good to go back into the system. So now we're going to put everything all back together again. And I mean, I've taken this thing apart numerous times, as you can tell, you know, with the missing screws and whatnot. I'm not an expert at this stuff by all means. I just love to tinker with it. And this system is one of the major ones that I've ever really taken apart and really messed with. This one and a few 360s I've done as well. Now when you're putting all this stuff back together, you want to put the DVD drive in its holder and then also drop it in first. Make sure it drops down all the way and don't do what I did here. Okay? You hook up all your cords, you hook everything back up the way you had it before, and then you go ahead and you hook up your disk drive with the ribbon cable right after you drop it in. Then you go ahead and drop in your hard drive. Make sure that cable goes in exactly how you see it on this video, because it needs to go in past the zip tie and wrap around. Now once you do that, then you go ahead and add your T10s, and then you can put the console and the lid back together. Now I've got it back together again. Here we go. I'm going to turn it on. Let's see if this is what fixes it. Microsoft logo's up. There we go. On dashboard. So it was the drive probably the whole time. So, this Xbox right here was an absolute pain in my ass, but I actually got it to work. And just to show everybody that it reads games and that it does everything that it's supposed to do, I've actually got a little setup out here. You're going to have to bear with me for a second while I go ahead and do it. Enjoy the music while I'm going ahead and setting this up. And I hope you guys like it. That is actually my band, Unraveled. In case you like it, just, you know, hit a like, man, hit a thumbs up, and ask me about it. I can tell you more and also how to get our music. All right, so here we go. As you guys can see, the clock capacitor doesn't work, so I'm going to have to go in there and remove that. Now, the games I have for it, and it's not very many, but I have World Championship Poker, and then I have Madden 07. Now, I'm going to pop in it doesn't like to open. I think I'm going to have to change that rubber band too. I'm going to pop in poker. The controller at my local game store was $15. In case anybody's keeping track. Because of course I didn't save any of my controllers or anything like that. I still got the remote, but as you can see, it boots this game right up. Can't really see it on camera, but the game is playing. And there you go, World Championship Poker. So that one works. So there you go. Pop that open, then I'll show you Madden. Now, if you know anything about Madden games, you know that they got played a lot, so a lot of them don't work. Now, I bought 2 of the same game to make sure that I at least got one working copy, and I even got them both resurfaced. This one, for some reason, would not work at all, even after being resurfaced. But this one I got to work. Of course, it still has its hiccups. But, as you can see, the 2001 Xbox is back to life. And it reads games, which is something I never thought it was going to do again. Now, I'm also thinking that maybe the motherboard wasn't bad. Now, I think the old motherboard I had in it was either a 1.4 or the very rare 1.5. I do not know, but I know I still have it. I'm going to replace the thermal paste on it after removing the heat sinks. I'm going to do all that to that board as well and then pop it back in that Xbox to see if it works. Now, also, with the motherboard that I know that works, I went and got a mod chip right here to go ahead and install into this Xbox to get it up to date to 2022. Now, this pin header right here, which is what this is, I would zoom in if I had that capability on this camera. I don't know if I do or not. But this pin header right here goes into your board. Now, I'm going to have to do a lot more research before I solder this thing in. There's going to be some soldering involved, and we've also got to run one wire to get this mod chip, which is the Aladdin XT, the Aladdin XT 4032. This mod chip right here to put inside of that Xbox. And I'm hoping with any type of luck, it's going to be able to read burn games to where I can stop having to go buy these copies and I could just get them on, some decent games that aren't going to be scratched to put them on, some verbatims. To the least, I'm hoping that that's what we get. So anyway, that's going to be the next time that I do one of these type of videos. That's what's going to happen next, is I'm going to go ahead and mod this 2001 original Xbox and bring it up to 2022 with that mod chip. I'm just absolutely stoked that I got this thing working again. And as you can see, it's playing through it. I'm actually extremely fortunate that I was able to find that drive for that price. Literally, I think in total it's costed me roughly about $100, including the controller and the 2 games, well, 3 games, and all the motherboard and the hard drive and the ribbon cable and the yellow cable, all of that, and the isopropyl alcohol, which I already had laying around the house. But I mean, things like that. And then, of course, I had tools. I'm just glad to see that I got the thing working again. So anyway, if you've enjoyed this content, please hit that like button, man. Subscribe to the channel and hit that bell for notifications for more future content right here from ABACABB Classic Gaming, where we say that if you're going to game, keep it classic.